Yeah, great smile.
3, 2, 1.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the November 8th, 2023 Parks and Recs Commission meeting. The time is 6:32 p.m. First item on the agenda is, do we have to consider any requests for commissioners to attend meeting remotely? We're all here tonight, so we're good to go. Roll call?
Roll call. Starting with Chairperson Kern,
Present.
Commissioner Comerford,
Present.
Commissioner Davis,
Present.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Present.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Present.
Commissioner Sewell,
Present.
Commissioner Sims.
Present.
Thank you, Jovi. Next up is the adoption of the agenda. Guys, if we, as the teen subcommittee, wanted to give an update on a meeting that we recently had, can we add that? That's not currently in here under subcommittees.
Yes,
Okay,
so we'll make a note of it, and when we get to item 9G, we will incorporate it.
sounds good. Any other deletions, additions, or changes to the agenda? If not, then I need someone to make a motion to approve it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve. And I will second that motion.
Okay, we're adopting tonight's agenda, so we'll do our roll call. Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shelby. Next item of business, approval of minutes from our October 11th, 2023 meeting. They were included in the board package. Can I have someone make a motion to approve those?
I motion to approve. I'll second that motion.
All righty, let's approve those minutes, shall we? Chairperson Kern,
Aye.
Commissioner Comerford,
Aye.
Commissioner Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Greenlee,
Aye.
Commissioner Ocampo,
Aye.
Commissioner Sewell,
Aye.
Commissioner Sims.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, citizen communications. Do we have any tonight?
I believe we do. Paul, you want to go ahead?
No, I didn't have any.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was kind of hoping there was like a oral communications number 2 after.
Got it. Okay. No worries. Then we don't have any tonight.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to the presentation section, we've got a presentation by Sarah on our senior programs.
Jovi will transition the slides for you.
Hello. So Paul is also here because you'll see his name come up soon. I'm going to talk about our senior programs and services.
Can you?
Want to stand closer?
Yeah, there you go.
All right, so we'll go through the days each weekday and then kind of the special things after that. So on Mondays, we partner with Samaritan House and we serve over 80 meals. And Paul distributes all of them by delivery, 12 of the delivery homes, and then everybody else comes to the Sunrise Room to pick them up. And then it's stitch and crocheting, but we also recently had a request to add coloring. So on Mondays, they can crochet, knit, or color. And then starting in April of this year, we did monthly hikes with Paul, and he would show us all of the plants and tell us the names and what they were used for, how the rock sediment was folded over. Right? I've gone on all the hikes, but I don't remember all of the names. And we did 2 in October and I think 2 in September, and they were a big hit. I think this picture is from one of our biggest groups because we drive the van up to the park at San Bruno Mountain, and we only have 9 seats, and there's more than 9 people that came on this hike, so they even brought their own cars. And then we can go to Tuesday. So on Tuesdays, we have Agile Aging at the Community Center with Dr. Abney. The Participation has gone up quite a bit. We had about like 5 to 10 last year, and this year's gone 5 to 15 participants. It is a fall prevention and balance class. And then Tuesdays at the Sunrise Room, they stream movies or TV shows, whichever one they kind of decide on. Teresa's in charge of picking that. And they can recommend if they have any suggestions they want to watch. And the picture's not from the Sunrise Room, it's from Cal Academy of Sciences Planetarium, but it does look like they're watching a movie. And then on Wednesdays, which is today, it's our big day, we have our senior club lunch. So we have now 40 active members. They do weekly lunch and bingo. Today, we had one of our members actually make the meal, Joe Sully, and then Joe and Jerry Sully, and Jeff and Ricardo barbecue on the last Wednesday of each month, and then the third Wednesday of each month, we get birthday cakes and celebrate all of the birthdays for that month. I think it was this summer we started our teen tech support with the YAC members. Today was our last day for the month, so we're taking a little break because they have college applications. They're kind of busy now. But we'll start back on December 6th with teen tech support again for seniors. And Miss Iris does design and build, which is what we used to do, like the craft time. We renamed it per your guys' help. And so that is now once a month. Today they did gnome wreaths for fall. So she got leaves from outside, and it's very cute. You'll see it hanging in the front door of the Sunrise Room. And then on Thursdays, Miss Shirley has her art class. So she has 2 hour-long classes, each with 8 students, and there's a waiting list for both of those. And they mostly do watercolor. In June, they had an exhibit at the library showcasing their art. And in the afternoons, we kind of switch it up. So a couple months ago, we started e-fitness, where we use the teens' Nintendo Switch. And last month, a couple weeks ago, we tried bowling for the first time, and they loved it. So they have been asking when we can bowl again. And then I think also once a month, we do our Get Appy with the Peninsula Family Services, and they offer a more in-depth tech support and education. So for example, the first one I went to, they talked about like how to spot kind of scam emails and things. Yeah. Friday. And then Fridays we have bingo, which is definitely our most crowded time at the Sunrise Room. This photo is from bingo before Halloween. And then on holidays, or just if they have special dishes, they'll bring food and treats to share with everyone. And then Teresita, the vampire, I think she's a vampire in that photo, she will do blood pressure checks by request on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of each month. She is a retired nurse.
Oh, wow, that's great.
More things. So senior events and intergenerational programming. So last year, we did our Lunar New Year celebration with preschool. They handed out red envelopes with candies. This summer, we did tattoos and shoes, where we did temporary tattoos, and some of them even went for neck tattoos. That was kind of amazing. And then we had some snacks. And then we started karaoke last year as well, which Miss Teresa here is the pro at. She doesn't like to admit it. She can sing, but she's not a pro, but when she starts singing, she doesn't want to stop. And then we have another one coming up on December 15th. So our teens come to those. We had them come to the last karaoke, and that we found was the most successful. The seniors seemed a lot more open and like willing to try to sing in front of each other. So we're going to bring them back, have them come, encourage each other.
I see they have instruments.
Yes, we did some inflatable instruments, and you'll see Mr. Rydell has some cool like Kanye glasses.
I like it.
Yes, it was a lot of fun. So we'll see. I think they were singing Don't Stop Believin', so a song all the generations know. And then we also had a presentation from Teresa Montgomery from South City Scavenger about sorting the different trash things from like compost, recycling, paper recycling, and like if your cardboard is wet, where to put it, the various packages you get mailed to your house and all those. Next. So our senior club, the longstanding senior club had a remaining fund balance when the Parks and Recreation absorbed their programs in 2021. The club members voted on how to use those funds, and they ultimately settled on doing trips and dining out experiences. So this year they went to the Bass Cultural Center. They went to Original Joe's for lunch twice, and we did wine and paint night, which is what this photo is. They did a starry night. It was pretty fun. And then they just recently went on the Hornblower cruise in San Francisco. These are some Hornblower cruise pictures. So we have two senior trip groups. Our kickoff, our senior trips was in February. We went wine tasting and like a little tractor tour in Sonoma County. So that's the top picture, the top left in the wine tunnel with the barrels. We went to the Exploratorium in San Francisco, and that's them looking at, on the top left, top right, they were looking at their cells and how they work. The Exploratorium was really funny. They were playing, just as we take the kids there on summer camp field trips, and same thing. They were so excited to play with all the interactive exhibits and such. And then we went to the Golden Gate Bridge and had lunch at Sessions in the Presidio. The two in the picture there on the bottom left, they were the only two that made it across. So they made it all the way there and came all the way back. And the lunch was absolutely delicious. And then in July, we went to California Academy of Sciences, which you saw the planetarium photo earlier. And this is them looking in at above the aquarium.
Can I ask a question real quick? How many people went on your field trips in general?
So the maximum we can take in the van is 9. That Sonoma one had 5, so that was kind of starting off a little slower, and then we kind of got up between 8 and 9 from then on.
That's good.
I know they took a bus for the Hornblower cruise. They had 22.
Wow, that's great.
And that bus was courtesy of Littman Middle School. They lent us the bus and the driver.
Nice.
I can do a quick, we had for the Exploratorium 9, the Bass Cultural Lunch, we had 30. Original Joe's, we
Wow.
had 28. Golden Gate Bridge had 7. Wine and Paint Night had 9. Academy of Science had 9. Sonoma County Fair had 9. Central Park had 11. Winchester Mystery 10. Hornblower 27. And then we have some upcoming ones. The Filoli already has 22, and we'll talk more about that shortly.
Wow, that's great.
Senior trips continued. So Miss Maggie here on the right, I'm sure you've seen this in our activity guide. The deer was trying to get her burrito. It was really kept trying. All the animals kept trying to get her burrito. And then back in September, Paul suggested that we go to San Mateo Central Park and have lunch at the bistro, and it was absolutely wonderful trip. He led them through the park and got us into the nursery, right? The nursery area, even though it wasn't open. So he contacted them and got us in.
Back door.
And then in this photo on the top, you'll see that that's us in the rose garden. And then most recently, we went to Winchester Mystery House, and they had their Halloween decorations up. So got to get a little picture with that. And then coming up at the end of this month, the holidays at Fioli, which we are taking the bus again. So that's why we are able to accommodate more people. And then in December will be a White Christmas production in Half Moon Bay.
I have another just general question. What constitutes a senior? How old do you have to be or young do you have to be a senior?
So in Brisbane, we do a 55 and up. That is
Senior.
Teresa. Teresa made that a point so that way.
I've changed it from 60 to 55.
Do you want to talk about it or do you want?
It's okay, you can go ahead.
That's just a,
No,
it was
no.
just,
Talk anyways.
it was just
I
a
want
question.
her. So, but she made it so that way multiple generations are able to attend our programs. So someone could attend with their parents.
Changed terribly. Steve made it happen though. Our former, he did make it.
I think the next thing might. And then at Day in the Park, you might have noticed we had some extra people at our table. So we were recently recognized as an age-friendly city through AARP, Network of Affiliate Health World Health Organizations and global network of age-friendly cities. We established a task force. There was focus groups held. The teens even, I think, attended a couple focus groups. And right now there is a survey at the Sunrise Room, and that will be open through the end of this year. And the action plan is scheduled to be rolled out in the middle of next year. And then our special guest, Paul, who I've mentioned a couple times, he, back in May, was given an award through California Parks and Recreation Society for all of his amazing volunteer work in Brisbane. Just to name some of the things, he's a member, or he's volunteered with San Bruno Mountain Watch, Club Littman. He's currently teaching an after-school program, Brisbane Village Helping Hands, the Senior Meal Delivery, and he was previously Volunteer of the Year in Brisbane. Thank you. Questions?
I would love to know if Yak Tech. Sorry, thank you. I'd love to know firsthand how the Yak's doing with the technology and helping out the seniors, because I would love some help as well.
Oh, yeah. What do you want to?
Just come up and answer.
Okay, well, yeah, they really enjoy it right now. Let's see, I don't really need this, but right now, they're really enjoying it. In fact, the seniors ask about them all the time. So they're just getting along with understanding how things are going, especially with the seniors, with the teens. But they're just so perfect at giving them instruction. It's great. So I think, Trudy,
Yeah,
you're one of them. We
Yeah.
have several people, that come.
you're
So,
wonderful.
Yeah, so they do a really good job.
That's so cool.
Sure.
I realized I forgot to. This is Miss Teresa. This is Teresa Madrigal. She works at the Sunrise Room. She is the senior recreation leader
Right,
in charge of the senior program. So she's there far more often than I am, and that's why she's here to answer the questions as well.
Sure.
She doesn't need the mic as much as I do.
Yeah, I don't really need the mic.
My second question is, how's my mother-in-law doing, Adela?
Oh,
Is
your
she-
mother,
is
your
she doing all right?
mother-in-law. She's one of, well, first of all, yeah, okay, all right. I can't have favorites. I'm not trying to have favorites, but she's always one of my favorites. And right now, she is in the midst of doing many puzzles with other ones. So, and then she encourages others to do that. So she's doing lots of puzzles right now. Yeah, she's doing great.
As a bonus, we love when she brings Goldie.
Oh,
So
of course.
Thank you for that. Goldie is the dog.
Yes, well, dogs in general, if anybody knows me, I have a dog treat area and they all come. I can pretend they love me, but I know they love my treats, but that's okay. You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I do have one. So I'm sorry, I'm not super familiar with this program, but do you ever hear from them that they wish they had some sort of a senior-oriented exercise programs? I think we do have some, but I just don't know how that ties in with this.
So that was our Agile Aging class on Tuesday mornings.
Okay.
And then we recently started the e-fitness, so we'll do some bowling on our Switch.
Okay, great, thank you.
And there's also the hiking. I mean,
And the hikes
I
on
think the
Mondays, yes.
hiking was, yeah.
But they discontinued it for now, right?
We're stopping for the seasons, so once it gets a little nicer out again.
But we also have our yoga classes that we offer that is for all ages. So all are welcome to those. We have a number of different programs that is not solely senior specific, but is open for all, including water aerobics, which is a hit. Offered multiple times.
It's good, less impact on your joints. I used to take it during the pandemic.
Great, thank you.
Good way to stretch.
Sarah, great job as always.
Thank you.
Is there a cost to any of these outings? And do we have a cap on what we try and cap spending at?
So our trips do have costs to them. We try to keep them as low as possible. So like that would be anything from like gas and ticket sales. The remaining senior club funds have covered a lot of them for the senior club members. But yes, that is, if you're not in senior club, you do have to pay for the fee.
But all of the trips we do, like Sarah said, offer it that the community is welcome to join. When we only had the transit van as an option, it did fill up quickly just because we only had the 9 spaces. Now that we're able to work in partnership with the Brisbane School District with their bus, we can, like for Filoli right now, we have 22 and technically we could take a couple more people. I don't have that specific cost in front of me right now, but for all of our trips, we try and keep them under $100.
Got it. Okay.
And then if we have an event that exceeds that passenger limit of 9, can the participants get themselves there?
Yes, so for the hikes, they're able to do that. And then that's why we got the bus now. So if it's farther away, it's easier for us to all go together.
Okay, and then, yeah, I just wasn't sure how often you could engage the bus. Yeah.
Yeah, so when they go out to their lunches, which are generally more local, many of them do drive themselves.
Okay.
For the actual trips, though, for the most part, that are not the lunch only, we do like to have them stick with the van or the bus just because it's kind of like a field trip that we need to keep track of everyone.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I just wanted to say that I'm so pleased to see the hikes happen. And Paul, you were here, it seems like not long ago, proposing that. And I'm really thrilled to see that it all worked out and that the hikes are happening and successful. And I hope they continue. And I think this whole program just sounds really fun. And I'm really glad to hear that it's 55 because I'm getting there. So thank you.
I have a question. I would just like to ask a general question to, I'm sorry, horrible.
Teresa.
Yeah. Teresa, get up here. Teresa, get up here.
All right, I know you.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Okay, my
What's it-
question is
Yes.
we're going to be talking about facilities tonight, later in the meeting.
Uh-huh.
And I just wondered how you feel about the sunrise room and the facilities. Do you think, can you see that there's some things that could be improved with the facilities? Is the kitchen okay? Is the furniture?
People always want a stove. They wish they didn't put a dishwasher, and we would have loved a stove, but I don't think that, I don't know. Although Paul has big ideas about that.
Paul has big ideas.
Yeah.
Is
Paul-
there room for something like a kitchen in there?
Well, we have,
have a
excuse me.
kitchen.
We have we have the kitchen, we have the, a sink.
Oh, okay.
We actually have, what is that called? We have now you bought. We have like
the air fryer convection.
air fryer
okay.
convection stuff. So we're able to do things like that. But the room is big enough to do things. It would, something I guess that would be something that would be lovely for people if we actually were able to cook in there. But that's.
But you have, and the rest of just in general, is there anything that comes to mind? Furniture. I noticed that you guys have a nice big screen TV now. Which
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah, very
That's
nice.
new.
Very good.
Anyways, just brainstorming, just trying to see if there's anything that
Okay.
you can think of.
Yeah, we have a lot of, we actually, Nicole brought in some new chairs that were repurposed from Burlingame, right? That the seniors really like. We can only have so many because they don't stack, but there are certain things that come in that they enjoy.
You're pretty happy with the space?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good.
They're definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people enjoy their time there.
Okay, great. Well, that's good to hear.
Okay.
Good call out, Lisa. Any other questions for Sarah? I guess not. Fantastic job as always. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you for coming, Teresa. Thank you for
having
coming,
me.
Paul.
Have a good night.
Can Paul say something? Oh, Paul's leaving. Bye.
Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
I know you.
Say something. Speech.
Paul Buscal, Brisbane resident, and I just want to thank you and staff for the opportunity to be able to do the things that we do in a small town like this, because when I used to work in San Francisco, it'd be impossible to try to do things like we do, just coming to a meeting and you guys, talking about it and then working it out with staff, and then it happens. So, and I agree with Nicole's assessment of keeping people together in the van or in the bus, because after we went to Central Park in San Mateo. And then we went to the Central Park Bistro for a really nice lunch. And then I said, hey, why don't we go across street to Draeger's? Because, if you've ever been to Draeger's and upstairs in Draeger's, man, it was like trying to herd cats, try to be going through Draeger's, trying to find everybody because we had to leave. But anyway, thanks again. I look forward to our futures. So,
Thank
Paul,
you.
I just have one question for Paul, real quick. What motivates you to do this? Because I think it's just, you clearly have an enthusiasm for this, and I just am curious what.
So I'm retired, and it gives me purpose, and it's something that I could do, whether it's with the seniors, which I think Brisbane has like 50% of the residents are over 55 in Brisbane. And so, yeah. And there was a need to deliver food. So I was able to do that. And then the school asked if I would do the mountain club again. So, and what I found, and I won't take up too much more of your time, but I found, especially delivering food, that a lot of seniors are really lonely. And while the Sunrise Room is an outlet for a lot of the seniors, it's not for everybody. So a lot of the seniors and myself have been taking road trips, like down to Pigeon Point Lighthouse and then having a picnic at Memorial Park. And one of the ladies last December, at the end of December, sent me a card that said that was the highlight of her year. Something that I just would take it's so easy for us to go do, but for them, it was like the whole year, and that was the highlight of her year. So I thought, so hopefully in the future, we can spend more time doing things that are just going for walks, so that thing I do with the seniors is a walk. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Have a good night.
See you soon.
We're gonna see you later, folks.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for coming tonight.
Thanks, Teresa.
And your mother, right? Yeah, she is one.
Where's my page one? Oh, here it is.
Okay, moving along to item number 7, which is the old business. We're going to review the, excuse me, we're going to review the former Park and Rec Capital Improvement Projects. We've got the list. It was included in the package. Hopefully, all commissioners have had a little bit of time, we're able to spend a little bit of time with it. We're just going to open this up to just general discussion about what's on the list. Is there anything we want to add to the list?
I will just add that the only changes between this version of the list and the one that you received at the previous meeting was what the commissioners had requested be incorporated, and that includes under Lippman Field turf revision, we included or conduct full reconstruction of the existing grass field. We're still working on securing more accurate cost estimates for that scope of work, but we included a notation there that it could be either artificial turf or reconstruct with the existing kind of new grass there. And then the second item was permanent infrastructure for pickleball, which is towards the end of the list. And there's a TBD in here, but since we distributed this staff report, we did get at least one cost estimate for the scope of work of that. Simply just painting lines on the existing court surface is about $2,000. But resurfacing all of the court is looking more like $60,000. So there are some cracks in the existing court surface there at Mission Blue. So if we were going to do the full slip sheet reconstruction, it's around $60,000. If we're just painting lines on, it's closer to about $2,000 to $3,000.
With that being said, Noreen, resurfacing would also benefit tennis.
That's correct.
Yeah, so that's
Yes.
not solely pickleball. Okay.
Correct.
Yep. Thank you for that update.
Noreen, I had a question, just kind of a framing question for all of this. And I know we talked about budget at our kind of offsite or on-site planning day, but I think with all of this, my question is, what is the money we have in general Parks and Rec on an annual basis that isn't already allocated for staff and programs, et cetera? Like, how much do we actually have for capital projects? And I know it must vary year after year.
So there's not a standing annual allocation for capital improvement projects for any one given department. The City Council reviews the full scope of proposed capital improvement projects on an annual basis and then determines how much they want to spend in that fiscal year towards said projects that they identify as top priorities. So it's contingent upon kind of the city's financial well-being and how comfortable the council is allocating funding for CIP projects.
And are we choosing then now for next year for?
I'm sorry, what?
Julie, can you turn on your mic? If it is.
Is it on? Test.
Oh, it was on, I think. The red light's on.
Green light, it needs to be a green light.
Maybe just speak a little bit closer
No.
to it.
So when we look at the projects right now, what we're
Yes.
doing this exercise, is it for next year then?
So it's anticipated that the city council will review CIP projects in the next 2 to 3 months, at which point they would allocate funding either, they could allocate funding for the remainder of this fiscal year, or they could say it's for the next fiscal year. It's really subject to their purview.
Okay, thank you.
I know that what council appreciates is that the commission does more of a deep dive into this project list and then comes forward with a few identified top priorities that kind of helps guide their discussion and conversation. But I also want to give the caveat that they're looking at the full scope of CIP projects for the entire city. So this includes, public works, utility infrastructure, it includes requests from the police department. So they have the very difficult task of identifying how to allocate funds and how to distribute them across a large variety of capital improvement projects that are being proposed.
Got it, thank
Yeah.
you.
And just piling on top of Julie's comment, I think that this exercise would be a little bit easier for this commission if we had some sort of boundaries or bookends on terms of what we should be looking to potentially spend or potentially ask for. So I'm just throwing that out there because just blindly looking at this, everybody wants to put, AstroTurf in at $2.2 million. So that's, we'd love to do that. But obviously that's not a very realistic ask at this point in time. So without sufficient planning. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And we didn't have all the commissioners here at our last meeting, and I asked the same question at the last meeting, so I'm going to ask it again here for the benefit of the folks that weren't here. But there is a section of this list called the in-process section. And so if you could just speak to where these things stand, because things like the Crocker Park master plan, obviously, we have reviewed that in the past, and we understand that that's sort of an a la carte menu of different features that we could potentially push forward. So if we know where this is at in terms of the CEQA study being done and whatnot, maybe this will influence our conversation tonight.
Sure.
Thank
So that page that starts with in process and it indicates 5 different projects really intends to highlight where we are with those things in sequence of next steps for those said projects. So Mission Blue Center facility upgrades, specifically kitchen upgrades, where that stands is currently the City Council Subcommittee, Infrastructure Subcommittee has met and reviewed the proposals that we received for the scope of work, and they are determining whether or not to proceed with those projects. So that's on their plate currently. We haven't reconvened recently, so I anticipate maybe in the new year that we will, and we'll have some additional information that we can provide back to you. The same is with the study of the former library and community center. Those are kind of 2 projects that have been bundled together. So the quotes that we received are from the same consultant who would come in and do kind of a capacity analysis and identify mechanical updates or facility improvements that are being proposed, and then provide information to the city beyond that. So those two are kind of paired together, being reviewed by the city's infrastructure subcommittee. The next one is the new boiler for the community pool and converting the existing boiler from a gas boiler to an electric boiler. That's being handled by the city's environmental sustainability manager. So they're working with a consultant on energy efficiency as it relates to the pool heater.
And Noreen?
Yep.
Do you have just a general ballpark sense of that boiler? Like
Cost.
what that cost is?
Oh, gosh, I know this came up at a council meeting, and I apologize that I don't have it in front of me. It's also changed since the start of the project, so I would have to get more concrete information from the city's public works team, but I can send that to you in an email if it's helpful.
That would
So,
be helpful. It came
yeah.
up at our last meeting, and I think one of the speakers, or just the general public, had it at a very surprisingly high cost, at least for me.
Yeah, I can provide that to you. And then the two items kind of being worked on internally within our department are next steps on the Crocker Trail Master Plan. The CEQA, which is the environmental analysis, needs to be conducted before we can move forward with implementing any kind of additional trail amenities beyond the resurfacing project that was just completed. So we've reached out and had a couple meetings with RRM Design Group. They're the ones who conducted the master plan on Crocker Trail. And so they would be working with one of their environmental consultants to be able to conduct that study for us. We're waiting on a cost estimate from them before next steps. And then the community park playground resurfacing, that is moving forward. We brought it to city council last week and had some great discussion with residents. And ultimately, the city council decided to proceed with the project. So Nicole is working with the consultant to schedule the work. We anticipate that when we're ready to break ground, it will probably be a 2 to 3 at most week closure of the playground. What's that? Yeah, weather pending. So yes, that is moving forward as well.
Thank you so much for going through that again, Noreen. One quick question on the CEQA analysis. Once that's done and completed, let's just say it is approved and they move forward with it, how long is that good for? How long is that valid for?
The document itself is good for 5 years.
Okay.
Right, and then that would be utilized to go out and solicit kind of grant funds, alternative funding sources to fund implementation of key elements of the master plan, whether it be lighting or wayfinding signage or bike trail features or art. So
what I'm hearing is maybe it'd be a good idea, not tonight, but maybe it would be a good idea for this commission to have a backlog based upon, what we feel are priorities in the Crocker Park master plans. So when the CEQA thing is approved and goes through, then we can start throwing levers and being like, okay, lighting, park benches, whatever those priorities are, we've got it already in a prioritized list.
yes,
Okay.
that would be great to bring to a future meeting.
Yeah, I wanted to, I had a question on those same lines, is that I think it would be great to separate that out and break those down into separate projects, because some might be more easily achieved than others, and some might be more expensive, some might take more planning, but we could have a priority list and say, here's what we want to accomplish because this is a great plan we have. So let's get this list and start chipping it away. I mean, it just feels like it's kind of nebulous right now, and I'd like to have it more.
I
in front of
totally
me.
agree.
Okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So if we were to pull a date out of the air, like should we say by midsummer next year, we should have our list? I mean, that's not something we need to work on immediately, obviously.
No, but I think that would be great to include on your kind of work plan goal setting for 2024 so that we can, when we have the documentation that's needed to move forward, we're ready.
Did I just tee you up with
You
that?
did, thanks.
Okay, yeah. Just so you guys know that wasn't planned. Okay, with that being said, and again, thank you for that update. We can open up the discussion now based upon the list that we've got in front of us. I see everybody's got notes written down.
This is the best meeting of the year. Like, it's an important one.
know.
Tom, you go first. Maybe we start with you and go down.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me? Well, since we just had a great report from the seniors. My first choice would be to work on those blinds. Both my things are based on safety for all ages. And I'm dumbfounded on why blinds cost $10,000.
So am I.
Yeah.
I had the same
Absolutely.
question.
Have you done lately? Have you renovated blinds lately?
I have. I mean, it was 5 years ago when we bought
I
our
did it
house,
5 years
but
ago too, and it didn't cost that.
I
and
know
had
there are
fireproof.
fire concerns, but 10,000 seems excessive to me.
There are certain requirements in a public facility, and they are monitored or regulated by North County Fire Authority. So the cost estimates that we got to reflect what is required by the fire authority is $10,000.
Did you get more than one quote?
Well, in order to proceed with anything, we have to have 3 bids.
Uh-huh.
So, yes.
Okay. And the minimum was $10,000?
Yes.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, Frank, you said to come prepared, so forgive me while I read these notes. But yeah, it's a lot. I think it's important we do this right away and offer them a senior center with fire-safe blinds as soon as we possibly can. This may sound self-serving, and coming from me, this is a large project that we've all been talking about. The Lippman Field, not BS or Mission Blue, they've become a safety hazard for those who try to play sport on them. They're hard as a rock down the middle, full of gopher holes, contrasted by sharp rocks, wasp nests. It has and will continue to injure athletes and attract lawyers, young and old. If not for an amazing local family channeling the spirit of Ted Lasso by volunteering on weekends with shovels, poop bags, and big hearts, this field would be unusable for humans and become our second community dog park. Fact checked by yours truly and echoed by our AYSO visiting teams and our very own players and parents who are currently, as we speak, stressing out about open enrollment for health insurance decisions. We have the most hazardous soccer field in the AYSO circuit. As you're aware, I'm passionately interested in the concept of the city potentially annexing everything the school district owns west of the pool to the tennis courts. As a partner to the public, as a partner to a public school teacher, I can only imagine school leadership rolling their eyes and laughing out loud when we send emails complaining about pickleball ruining the tennis courts, and then asking them to repay for the surface. Let's take the pressure off the school and let them do what they do best, teach our children. This esteemed and very good-looking group of commissioners has the opportunity to gift Lippman, plus our entire community area, I am informally calling Lippman Acres, filled with education, safe outdoor activities for all ages, to park and rec. Visualize this: the preschool, the pool, baseball, softball, soccer fields, bookmarked by a beautiful, well-lit tennis court, all tied together with a new lavatory, sparkling with porcelain that we can all feel proud to perch on. Let's package up all the projects on the Lippman Acres into one initiative as our legacy project, and let's start it in 2024. All humor aside, for me, it's clearly the right thing to do. As a Park and Rec Commissioner, I would like it to be considered as a priority moving forward. Thank you. Next.
Well said.
That's a tough act to follow.
It was just the two, Tom?
Frank asked me to be prepared, and I always do what Frank tells me to do.
I didn't ask you to wear blue.
That's it.
That's it. Thank you so much, Tom.
No, go ahead.
So digesting all this. And we just want to have like the priorities, right? I know the turf renovation, has been coming up for years, I think for almost 10 years now. And there's been a back and forth from what I'm hearing versus artificial versus grass. But I think that's like year to year or like month to month, we've been hearing feedback on getting that done. So And I know like we're looking at the cost, but I don't know if we're looking at longevity, right? We're looking at something that's sustainable. So I would also prioritize that as well. Actually, I'm like looking at all these. That, and then I would also say, I guess, like something that's easy, like the new message boards for the community park. I think that's something also that can be prioritized. It's just, I guess, like with it being used on like weekends and very popular weekends, I think that can also be prioritized. What else? I don't know. I also want to say, like with the sports court installation at the community park, that's definitely something that we should also take a look at. The bocce court is something that Frank, when he first joined, he immediately, like, that was something. And I think I've been hearing that also in feedback and with the community as well. I think all of these are actually important. They're all priorities.
Okay, so you mentioned the new message boards as well, okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Can I ask about the new message boards? I don't quite understand that item. It just seems like when I joined a few years ago, we had just gotten new message boards.
This isn't, we're not referring to the digital ones. We're referring to in the center of community park. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
You're correct.
They're in the center of community park here by the picnic tables. There is a message board and it's behind like plexiglass and then we can hang postings and stuff there.
Oh,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah.
We put the
yeah.
permits for the weekend picnic rentals.
Okay.
It's
now
similar
that
to the
seems
one outside the dog
expensive
park.
too, but I think everything, also the pool, the tables by the pool seemed very expensive. And maybe I'm just thinking retail versus city prices, but it all seemed like, whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commercial
Thank you.
grade.
Yeah.
And I also like priority wise, also the field restroom is also like a big thing right now too, that we've been hearing for the past almost 10 years already for that. And I know like you'll probably need an infrastructure, right, to build restrooms and.
So Natalie, there's a subset of us that went to the YAC meeting and that came up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a drinking fountain too.
Yep.
They would, if you're going to build a restroom,
Yep.
include a drinking fountain, please.
And then remind us again, have these been assessed? These priorities or the in-process list of priorities, have these been all, I guess the CIP list, this has all been through like an assessment or like from an advisor, or is this just things that we just like put out or like listed like?
I mean, it depends on the project. So some have been brought forward by city staff, some have been brought forward by the public and commissioners, some have been brought forward by council members. So it depends on the project. For example, like the new boiler at the pool, our existing boiler is at the end of its useful life.
Yeah.
And so we recognize that no matter what, we're going to have to swap that out for a new unit. And from the city's perspective, they feel strongly about environmental sustainability and doing it from a sustainable standpoint if possible. So that's why we're on that track.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of our highly used, right? Yep.
Okay. Hello. Well, I've looked over this list and I've got two attitudes about it. First is low-hanging fruit. It's things that we can do quick and cheap, like the pickleball lines. Pickleball's huge. I think we need at least one court that can be used without temporary lines. I just think that's a no-brainer. And it's easy, very popular with people. How is the pickleball? I mean, we're missing it tonight. I could be playing pickleball right now. How is the pickleball program? Is it well attended? Is it popular?
It's very well attended. We initially said we would do the pilot program through the 25th of October. And when that date approached, many people were like, no, you have to keep doing it. Please don't stop. And so the messaging to the community has been, we will continue to offer it while the weather is supportive of that. And then we will examine the feasibility of possibly moving it indoors at Lippman Gym before we can implement some more permanent infrastructure for pickleball.
Yeah, it just seems like it's cheap. Let's do it. That's just one thing. The other was the signage. It's cheap. Let's do it. But I agree with Tom. We need to tackle the big thing. And I think we're going to, I like your idea of a legacy project. I like your idea of bundling it together. I've always liked your idea of approaching Lippman with breaking it off from their responsibility. And I mean, we can't decide that here, but let's have meetings. Let's make it happen. I'm totally on board with that because I know when my kid was growing up, the biggest embarrassment of this town was our field programs. And he's 21 now. So even back then when he was a kid, it was subpar. It just was. And kids are leaving town to join San Bruno groups because it was just better, and nobody wants to play on a broken field. They just don't. And so it hurts the program. It's kind of a continuing spiral of it not being supported and therefore it not being attended and therefore it not being supported. And I just think we could turn it around, but I need a path forward. We need to do some serious planning in this next year on how to make it happen, approach the school, get people in the city who can make these decisions, bring a proposal to the city council so they can get on board with it. I know it's going to cost money, but we can do fundraising, get a whole fundraising arm with the parents. Get that big Google signage on board, whatever it takes. But I do think that it's a worthy project. The bathrooms, the tennis courts, and the field up there would just give this whole town a lift for our kids and our adults. Adults play sports out there too. So I just really support you in that, and whatever I can do, or whatever we can do to make it happen. That just seems to me like the most overarching thing, other than kind of the cheap stuff. I'd love to do everything on this list. And I'm really also interested in getting the list on how we can go forward with the Crocker Trail once that is approved. That's another thing that we could make a big mark on. I think that that's a real untapped area that I walk down every day and go, oh, we could do that. Oh, we could do that. So we can dream, but it would be nice to have a list of us to chip away at. And I know, I've been on this committee for a really long time, and it is frustrating when you have all these ideas and then people just shoot you down and say, general fund, we have no money, So we need to have strategies and not take no for an answer to make these things happen. That's what I feel our job is. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you for your 2 cents. Okay, a couple different things here. I am 100% with Lisa. I do participate in the pickleball, and it would be nice to have those lines on the court. Not necessarily running behind a full resurfacing, but just getting the lines, I think, would be a really, really good thing. Julie, Renee, and I attended a meeting in the Sunrise Room very recently, and those blinds need to be replaced for sure. So I would put that on my list of priorities. I don't know, I think we talked about the signboard, but I think you mentioned update the city signage. Our signs are looking extremely tattered in town, and they could use a refresh for sure. That doesn't seem like that's that big of a lift. And then we learned the other night, and I have not been up to Mission Blue, the sports complex up there, to check this out for myself, but we were told that we've got all of this fabulous, infrastructure up there to support sports, but there's no drinking fountain. Is that a true statement?
There's the restroom building adjacent to the parking lot. I'm wondering if there's I think there's a water fountain there. Yeah,
Okay.
but not on the not in the outfield where the volleyball courts or the batting cages are, but by the dugout there is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then one other addition here, I didn't see this on here, and I did watch the city council meeting the other night when we were talking about the resurfacing of the play lot or playground here. We don't have the construction or introduction of a sand, I'll call it a sand pit, for lack of a better term, but someplace where we've got sandboxes. And so is that something that we can add to this list? Is that a good idea?
You're really coming in clutch with the teeing up here, Frank. So yes, you are correct. The city council met last Thursday, and in speaking with council members and with our city manager, the intent is to form, and we're going to talk about that when we get to subcommittees, to form an ad hoc subcommittee of a couple of commissioners that are interested in the project and interested in working with residents as well as our Mothers of Brisbane group to identify other opportunities for incorporating sand play area in the community park, but also just general improvements of the community park playground. So that is definitely coming down the pipeline. We can certainly add it to the list.
Okay, that would qualify as capital
Yes.
improvement. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
But
it.
we need to drill down the scope and the financial impact a little bit further in order to have all of the information there for council's consideration.
Got it. Okay. Thank you, Noreen. And then last but not least, I just want to, back Tom up here and his fabulous presentation this evening. But we have been out on that field over at Lippman multiple times now in the past couple of years, and it is a pretty rough surface out there. So it's something that we definitely need to keep pushing forward for and making that ask and trying to get something done there, whether it's restoring the grass that's there through some process or putting down artificial turf, something. So.
Thank you, Frank.
Julie, you're up. Okay.
Yeah, so I agree pretty much with what everyone has said. Lippman was kind of the thing that jumped out to me because we've heard from the community about it. It's come up time and time again. I really like kind of the vision that Tom provided and the inspiration, and that Lisa kind of saw it holistically in terms of building a restroom, fixing the tennis court, making it kind of a crown jewel of the city of Brisbane, which I think it can and should be. I also wonder if, I'm a dog owner, I take my dogs there, but maybe this isn't the right place for dogs to be. And, if we need to make some short-term changes while we figure out that broader vision. So that definitely gets my vote. I definitely hear you on the blinds and would stand behind that. It pains me to spend 10,000, but I understand that might just be what it costs. And the other thing I would say, the pickleball seems like a very good idea and something relatively cost effective on this list. Very interested in Crocker Trail and what we can do there. So I know a lot of our wish list depends on the CEQA and other things that happen. I would say community park is also central. So whatever we can do there to make it the best it can be in terms of bocce. I'm interested in the parks and trail development fees and how we could potentially use some of those fees to cover some of this. I know there's some nuance there. We can use, those fees for some things and not maintenance, for example. So I'd look to get more guidance on how this could potentially play out. But that's those are my thoughts. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie. Trudy?
Okay. I'm interested in the turf renovation, having played on that field as a kid, believe it or not, and I have that bad ankle to prove it. I'm concerned with artificial turf. The state of California is now starting to push back on that because of environmental things. I went through it with my sister-in-law when she tried to figure out, because she lives in a very warm climate now compared to Brisbane where you can grow anything here. And the gases coming off of that and everything, I think it should just be turf. Turf is the easiest thing to fall on, I know. I think it should be turf. I really do. So I think we should really go for that. The other thing is back here. The old library community center. How do we decide that we're going to hire a consultant instead of doing it ourselves? Because what does a consultant do when he comes in? Is he going to just advise the city and Public Works of how to, I don't know, get it back to standards, even though it was built in the 80s? I'm just wondering why we're paying $45,000 when it could be done by doing a survey with the citizens first, and then different, clubs that could possibly use it. I just don't think we advertised it the right way either. I had somebody that used to live here. She wanted to throw a baby shower for her granddaughter. She goes, where can I go? Mission Blue's too big and too expensive. I said, the community center. And she goes, nobody even mentioned that to me. She goes, I was told to, check into Mission Blue. I just think we could, advertise that better. I've been to several showers there, and it's just, and when we walked through, like the garden show, I just really liked it there because you had the back and everything. I just think that could be improved a little bit, but I just want to know, what makes you decide to hire a consultant?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the consultant would do. They would come in and they would analyze the building's infrastructure, identify the needs for maintenance and upgrades and improvements. For example, that building is not ADA compliant. It's nowhere near compliant. And in order to, if you touch the building, you have to bring it up to ADA compliance and accessibility standards.
So how isn't it ADA accessible?
The ramp is not, it's not to grade. You can't, there's certain specifications that required for wheeled vehicles, like a wheelchair. It can't be beyond a certain grade or slope. Otherwise it's hazardous. So the existing ramp from the sidewalk up to the second floor and the ramp down to the main floor of the community center is not ADA compliant. So there's infrastructure upgrades like that would have to happen if we start renovating the building. And so this is the first step in identifying what the building needs to be really a public amenity that could be accessed and utilized by all. And then from there would presumably be a public process about what we envision in that space, right? And how the community wants to utilize that space into the future.
I just wanted to make sure the community did have some kind of, input to it because
Yeah,
they're the ones who use it.
The consultant coming in is not going to make arbitrary decisions on how to reconfigure the building based on what they think we want there. There would absolutely be a public process about what that might look like and how to reconfigure the space to support those intended uses.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I need to know that. Cool.
Can I have a little follow-up question on that? Can I? Oh, yeah. As much as I love the idea, and I know we've talked about a great community center in that spot and that building being a really beautiful place and envisioning all the wonderful things our Park and Rec department could have there, I've also heard rumors that that site might be redeveloped in another way, potentially for housing.
I heard that too.
So I just want to put that out there that might happen. And so just thinking forward, we kind of need more feedback after this happens as to what the planning of this is and how far we can take our plans. Yeah, thanks.
Anything else, Trudy?
No.
Okay,
I'll
thank
ask
you.
the question later.
Okay, Renee, all you.
Okay, good. I'll be short since I'm the last and I don't have much to add. I guess the way I looked at it, if you look at the list, there's 5 items that are oriented towards Mission Blue, and there's 4 items that are oriented towards Lippman. And they're essentially doing the same thing at both those sites, honestly. And so, I guess the way I look at it is, if I were going to prioritize, the first thing I prioritize is, where do our kids need to have a safe place to play? And I think that's Lippman. And in my mind, that needs to be to me, that needs to be the top priority. And there's a number of reasons why that have already been cited. But to put it in a nutshell, I think it speaks badly of our community that we're not prioritizing that. And I just think we just need to realize that we're sending a message to the entire peninsula about what our priorities are, and it's not the message that Brisbane deserves, and it's not the one we want to send. So that's where I would prioritize is Lippman, based on just what I said. I do believe in this low-hanging fruit hypothesis that we kind of have, and I think that is something we can chip away at. And so probably each year we could probably knock off 1 or 2 or 3 of those, depending upon what. And so maybe over the course of 5 years, we could knock out a half or maybe even 3/4 of the ones that are on this list. And so chip away at that in the background so that people see quick progress. But in my mind, Lippman's just got to be a priority. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Renee. Okay, so I've been taking some copious notes here, and obviously it sounds like the turf renovation at Lippman is number 1. So I think we've got a number 1 here. And then the low-hanging fruit, as Renee just called it, I think that everybody sort of commented on the blinds and signage project. So I think we could probably put that down as a number 2. The Crocker Park Trail thematically came up a couple times tonight. So I think that we need to look at that in our planning session on how we're going to get that prioritized next year. That does not need to go on here, but that's just something that seems to have come up. Any other thoughts here?
Pickleball.
Oh, the pickleball lines. Yeah, I was including that in sort of the low-hanging fruit. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
So the low-hanging fruit would be signage, pickleball lines,
That's pretty much it.
and blinds. Again, blinds. Does that help?
Very much so. Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you all.
I have a procedural question, just because it'd be nice to get the ball rolling. Do we need to, or can we suggest an ad hoc committee for the Lippman Field and have that organized in some way?
Yeah, just comprised of commissioners? Or are you looking
I
to
don't know.
integrate other?
It'd be nice to have other entities there.
The family that I spoke about would be really great to be on that. Sorry, the family I spoke about would be great to have on that committee and would also speak to the turf, grass versus artificial as well.
Okay.
So just to respond to your request, Lisa, so you could approach this from one of 2 ways. You could use the existing rec facilities subcommittee to kind of have more ongoing conversation and dialogue about Lippman Field, or you could establish a separate ad hoc subcommittee. There's precedent for that. We did something similar for when we were installing the new skate park.
Exactly.
And then when that project closed, we closed that subcommittee.
See, I think that would, make a better focus on this project because I see different city, well, what am I trying to say? Different city entities that need to be a part of that conversation along with the school. Okay, so,
Yeah.
that's my suggestion. What do you think, Tom?
Absolutely. A couple of us are already on it, so.
Oh, we are? Well, no, not, this is a new thing.
Could we sandwich that into rec facilities?
No, I want it separate.
Totally separate, okay.
I want it to be its own
Well,
project.
I love that idea. I love that idea.
Can I ask just one question about these subcommittees? What leverage do they have?
Typically, I mean, it describes it at the top of the subcommittee list. So what they're really tasked with is being on the forefront of researching a problem or an issue or facility maintenance or a special event idea. They're the ones who are kind of doing the legwork and then bringing that context back to the larger commission for further discussion. So essentially, that's the role of the subcommittee.
And then that's coming to here.
Correct.
But my understanding is we don't have, we have, I don't know how much voice we have in budget.
The subcommittee or the commission?
We here, the commission, yeah.
So we review the budget annually, and the commission has the opportunity to make recommendations in the budget on an annual basis. And then those get presented to city council, and city council either approves or rejects.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe covered earlier, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks.
And a quick comment for I guess back to Lisa's point on the facilities. So basically it would be like, I'm just thinking of the process, the subcommittee of the recreational facilities, the 3 commissioners would bring back, or that's basically for the public to join, right? Those subcommittees and we can have those departments invited, right, to those subcommittees. Right?
Yeah, they can.
No, I was actually trying to break it into its own committee. Just because I feel like it's such a big project, it's such a big ask, that it's going to need buy-in from not just us, but from city council, from public works, from the school, and we might need to invite different entities to be part of this conversation if it's going to ever get legs and get going. And I think breaking it out of the recreational facilities from that, it could be a subcommittee, whatever you want to call it, but an ad hoc committee like you did the skate park, like you were talking about, just to bring a focus.
Yep.
I agree with that. It sounds like it could be really beneficial, and just I could imagine that committee meeting with a number of individuals in the community to make this happen.
So maybe we can bring that up in our next meeting about who wants to be on that committee and what we could ask other city entities to join and put it out there and just kind of gel that together.
Yeah, I think the hope for tonight was to identify representatives from the commission that are interested in serving on like an ad hoc committee for community park and playground improvements. So we could also do creation of an ad hoc subcommittee for Lippman improvements tonight if you wanted to. If you want more time to kind of sit on that decision, we can bring that back to our January meeting.
Can leadership for Lippman School be on an ad hoc committee to get them involved?
They could certainly be invited to participate, yes.
Thank you.
So my suggestion tonight is that we move forward with creating the ad hoc subcommittee for the community park playground, because that's a hot topic and that is a project that's moving forward, that's been given the green light. And so I think that there's some urgency around that. I think that maybe we wait until January to form the Lippman turf renovation committee. That's my suggestion.
I agree with that.
Okay. All right, so we're stepping out of order, Noreen, here. So should we just go ahead and form the community park subcommittee?
Let's wait if we could, just so that it's in sequence and alignment with the agenda. Thank you.
You see that? I just got pulled back. I was trying to, Okay. Any other discussion on the Park and Rec's capital improvement projects?
I wish we had money for everything.
Agree with that statement. Okay, moving on to new business. We'd like to have a discussion tonight about potential goal-setting approaches for 2024. Last year, we had what I think was an amazing retreat where we got together and we really bonded as a group, and we, reviewed the budget and reviewed a lot of numbers, and overall, it was a pretty productive day. I think that this is a little bit of a different topic here, and this is to talk about exactly what we want to try and accomplish for 2024 and putting some goals against that. Noreen, did you have some ideas on how we might approach this?
Sure. So typically, we leave a placeholder in our January commission calendar to kind of update the work plan and do some goal setting. As you mentioned, last year we did a full-on kind of half-day retreat on a Saturday. And that was more just to kind of get everybody up to speed and do some team building. But I think you guys are a well-oiled machine at this point. And so maybe a little bit more of a pointed strategic planning session could benefit the commission. And so we could designate one of our meetings in the early part of the year, maybe in the first quarter of the year, to do that. And that would help kind of create a roadmap for the remainder of 2024. That's probably what I would suggest.
I like it.
I really can't argue with that. Anyone?
I'm hearing lots of common themes tonight that I anticipate will be part of that conversation, but I think if we can drill down a little bit more, that would be beneficial for all of us.
Yes.
I agree. I would say one of the discussions that I found so helpful at the retreat was just the overall discussion of city finances.
Mhm.
So if we could start with a kind of that, it would be helpful.
Okay.
Does that influence the timing of the meeting? I mean, we said January. I mean,
No, so I mean, I would kick it back to the commissioners. If that's something we want to tackle in January or in February, we could do it in lieu of a regular monthly meeting or in addition to, depending on everybody's calendars and what works in terms of getting everybody's schedule on the same page. So I know that's hard with weekends and, but we can create a doodle poll and throw out some dates. I think maybe looking at a Friday or a Saturday might make the most sense, and just kind of convening for a couple of hours to flesh it out.
Yeah.
I would prefer that.
Mhm.
okay,
Yep. pull it
doodle
out.
poll it is.
Okay. We will work on that. And is there any objection to like the January, February timeframe? No? Okay.
Sooner the better.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
or-
we'll work on throwing out some dates and getting your availability so that we can get something on our calendar.
Great, thank you.
May I make one more request? And tell me, you all, if this just sounds like a terrible idea, because it might be. So I've been wanting to have like a day of service for our commission. And if we did like a half day of planning, we could do a half day and tackle the Crocker Trail, which it's just filled with litter. And I'd love to have like then we just get out on the trail and pick stuff up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's asking
Like
a
that.
lot to take a whole day of someone's time. That's the one thing. We might want to split those things up.
If I may, I know the Youth Advisory Committee was also interested in doing like a community cleanup, community
Bond
service
with
day.
them.
And I had mentioned it to other department heads, and there may be interest from other commissions and committees to participate. So if it's going to be something bigger, then I would envision that being independent of our goal-setting session.
Love that.
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah, let's break that
Yep.
out. Let's do
Okay.
it.
Yep. Yep, and yup.
Quick question, Noreen. And is there any like impact with our, I guess, like our term, like how long we've been part of the Park and Rec, like are there new commissioners or is it-
I'll take a
do
look
you
at
know?
term dates. I know it's on our website
Okay.
when everybody's term ends, but I will verify and let everybody know if it seems like your term is coming to an end.
Okay.
Okay. I think we have a plan there. Thank you. Let's move on to reports. As a chairperson, I don't have any specific updates tonight. I think we can move on to the subcommittees. And Noreen, I mentioned that I want to briefly spend some time on the teens, so.
Do you want to start with that?
Oh, okay. The teen subcommittee, we had a meeting somewhat recently, about a week and a half ago, where Lisa, Renee, and I went and spent time with the Youth Advisory Committee at their monthly meeting. They were generous, very, very generous. Sarah was generous too in giving us about a good half hour to spend with the committee. We had some super good dialogue, asking them about what their needs were and what the Park and Recs Commission could possibly do to support them. And Renee and Julie, do you guys want to weigh in on what you thought were some of the good recommendations?
They had a lot of good recommendations. One was they said they'd like more opportunities for internships, for career development. They said Nicole had led some really outstanding workshops on resume development and career preparedness. And so I think I talked to Nicole shortly thereafter. So we're working on building on that. And I think we'll invite everyone to contribute. They also had some very specific feedback on water fountains. Frank brought up one of them. There's another one who said he'd like one, I think, in the community park. They had a lot of positive things to say. They really like the technical support that they're providing, and they really want to get more volunteer hours in. So I think that was really nice to hear. All told, I mean, they're such an impressive group of individuals. I really enjoyed sitting in on the meeting and hearing from them. Anything from you, Renee?
Yeah, I think I was probably the person that steered us down the internship conversation, which I felt like got us a little bit out of our lane, quite honestly. I apologize to the gal earlier. But it did come up. And, I will say at least from a Parks and Rec perspective, there are a number of companies along the peninsula for kids that are really interested in maybe pursuing a career in Parks and Rec, for example. There's numbers of companies along the peninsula that have gyms associated with their companies and probably could take in a couple of interns. And it might be worth us reaching out to some of those companies. So I'm associated at least with 2 of those that have humongous gyms. And I wouldn't be surprised if we couldn't identify some other people that know about some along the way. So that might be one path. I didn't raise that at the meeting, but this came up in my little tiny brain later on. So anyways, that was the only other thing I'd add.
You guys did a great job summing that up, so thank you. The only other thing that came up, we briefly talked about doing some sort of event on visitation, where we might actually shut it down for a period of time. It might be something you might consider like a little festival. Being born and raised in Chicago, it's a very, very popular thing to do, to have block parties and do that sort of thing. And so that was something that they requested. So maybe something that we take a look at in 2024. That seems like an easy enough thing to do, so. Anything else on the teens? Okay. It was overall a really nice experience spending time with them that night, so. Okay, thanks for allowing us to speak about the teens. Next up is the Festival of Lights Subcommittee. They had a meeting on 10/24/23.
Okay, thanks, Nicole, for sharing your notes. So we had a subcommittee meeting on October 24th. The Festival of Lights is set on Sunday, the first Sunday of December 3rd at 5 to 8. We'll have caroling, which will be led by Kathy Wall, down visitation, and the idea, updated the songbook last year to reflect more winter holiday songs. Our Youth Volunteer of the Year will also be leading the community downtown, hopefully on a fire truck with Santa. We will be providing a giveaway item. Some examples are the candy cane wand, the candy cane necklace, the snowflake necklace, the peppermint lollipop wand, or also the snowflake glow stick. The idea came up of sponsoring a decorate a pole off of, is that visitation, right? Which will be, hopefully that would be an idea to explore for next year's event. We are in the final decisions of the cookie ordering, and they will be individually wrapped in plastic. We'll also have hot chocolate and cider. We have Santa, thanks to the Lions Club. We'll also be working with JoJo Martin to light up the park and have interactive elements for the community to participate in. We'll also have window art, same as last year at the Sunrise Room and the community pool. So we're hearing back from having that artwork at the library. So it looks like we'll also have additional details, which will, hopefully, I think that's it, right? Any other details we'll share, right? Like if it comes up, but that's it.
Okay. Thank you, Natalie. Next subcommittee is the Public Art Advisory Committee. They met on October 30th.
Me? Oh, man, I always got to go first tonight. Well, we met with 3 groups in person about they submitted master plans on paper. We got to meet with 3 of them in person over Zoom, and it was, I would say, fascinating. Really inspiring, hard to pick, but one group did kind of come to the surface, and with a few follow-ups, and I don't know what it was. It was a little bit of a communication problem. We didn't know who was going to be our rep.
yeah.
So we figured that out, and I think we've hired a group. I don't think we should say it yet. Is that true?
Well, we are going to City Council next Thursday for the award of contract. So I've written the staff report, and it will be published in the City Council packet. So it's okay to say who, if you remember their name.
Why don't you do the honors?
It's a firm named 9 Arts, and they're responsible for doing the art in the Denver airport. They have a pretty robust portfolio, and I mean, there was consensus amongst the entire Public Art Committee. So they have a lot of enthusiasm. They're really excited to work with the city. So it's we're excited to see it moving forward.
Yeah, they actually came to the meeting prepared. They did their homework. They knew Brisbane. They knew our projects that are coming up. They're young and exciting, and I'm just really happy. It's going to be a fun thing to work with them on. I think that's the kind of guidance we need, and everybody on the committee we had some really impressive presentations given to us by all of these projects. So this was really a fun exercise, and yeah.
Well, congratulations on the progress. This is very exciting. Thank you. Next up is setting subcommittee meetings. Do we have any meetings that we need to set between now and January 10th?
I think the most time-sensitive one is Festival of Lights, because we have the event on December 3rd. So if we could schedule something in the next couple of weeks, that would be ideal. And that is Trudy, Natalie, and Julie.
I'm free next week just because I think Thanksgiving's going to be busy, right? In the next
Yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah. Next week, I'll defer to.
I think next week would be good. We do Thursday, the 16th? Does that work for you?
Yeah. Just have to be unavailable
Yeah.
the 18th and 19th.
Do you want to see if that works for you?
I'm free on the 16th.
Thursday, the 16th, 4:30 work, or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Which one?
4
4:30.
4?
p.m.?
Okay.
4 p.m. going once? Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
And
I don't think
then
we need any other.
I don't think we need any others before the end of the year, but do you want to kick off the conversation about the ad hoc committee for community park improvements?
I think I already did.
Do we have any volunteers? I think for something like this, where we're going to have continued involvement from the Mothers of Brisbane group and citizen engagement, I would recommend maybe 2 commissioners. If there's a third that really feels passionately about it, then we can do 3.
We're talking about the park.
Community park.
Community park improvements.
I'd like to be a part of that.
Oh, that's the resurface of the playground, not the
It's-
Littman.
No, not the Littman.
It's actually probably going to be a broader discussion beyond just the resurfacing, but it is focused on community park.
Yeah, community park.
I could be added to that.
Okay.
A kid that loves that sandbox.
You're not alone, Natalie. Okay.
Okay, thank you for volunteering. Can we just go with 2 and just see how it goes? And then
Yes.
if you guys think that you need help or
Yep.
you want an additional commissioner, I don't doubt that for a second. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else on setting subcommittee meetings? Okay, I think we're good. Let's move on to additional reports. Any commissioner reports? I don't think we have any tonight. Let's move on to staff.
Oh, wait, could I ask, is this part where I could ask a question about something?
Sure.
Are horses permitted in our parks? Because I was advised that there is a group that I didn't even know still existed, who are planning on doing some kind of fundraising and bringing horses into Brisbane that kids could ride. And I was approached about it, and I said, I wouldn't want a horse in our park. I'm sorry, and I like horses. I used to ride them when I was little, but
Yeah,
would that be approved?
that's a great question. I would have to confirm what our Brisbane Municipal Code states. I think horses are allowed to travel in the public right of way, but as far as congregating in a community park, that would probably be subject to city council approval. And there might be limitations within our municipal code that would prevent it.
I would think so, because what they want to do is like, kids can get on horses and take a ride and, sorry.
Well, they used to do
Been there,
that.
done that.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure before they approach me again, so,
Yeah.
we were thinking about this as well, keep thinking about it for a while, because
Right.
you can't just, organize something and show up on a Sunday afternoon out here in the park.
Yep.
Which they're probably sorry now that they approached me, but I just wanted to see if you could check into that.
Yeah, I mean, any use of a large event of our park requires a permit process
Right.
and an application process, and certain criteria warrant city council approval as well. So,
That's what I tell them. It's out of my hands.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other commissioners? Okay, let's move on to staff.
All right, so Sarah had provided a brief update of the age-friendly city process, and we are age-friendly certified here in Brisbane. The AARP survey, which is a part of that process, is currently open through the end of this year. It might also extend a little bit past that as well, because as she mentioned, that next phase isn't really beginning until the middle of 2024 anyway, so the more feedback we can get, great. So I did just want to share with regards to that, give me one moment. So that survey is anonymous. It's online on our website. It's on our social media. It's been through the blast. There's been a number of different places that it is located. Some people have been sensitive to the income question that's listed on there. It is put on through AARP. So we didn't really have much opportunity to adjust the survey questions, but please be reassured that the survey is anonymous and it's just helpful in kind of gathering insight and information, and that every question must be answered for that survey to count. So it is relatively about 15 minutes to take, but it is very helpful in us shaping kind of the next phase of that process. We do have a number of age-friendly survey events and activities going on, which is also posted, but just kind of one that's coming up relatively soon is at the Tech Help, that final one. We will have surveys available there at the Sunrise Room on the 8th. And the library is also offering a workshop on the 10th. And then there's a number of different activities that are on the graphic that's also on the website. So in lieu of sharing all of those, just know that there are a number of places, not only the Sunrise Room, but also City Hall and the library, that you can get a printed version of that survey. I can also provide to each of you if you have specific folks you want to distribute to. So I'll send an email with not only a link, but if you would like to request print copies, please do let me know. And I did just want to do a quick fact check that, again, through AARP, we have about 21% of our 60-plus population here in Brisbane. So, but still really great. And that survey is open for 45 and up, not just 55 and up, again, to help shape for the future. Next up, our Halloween event was I was trying to think of a pun.
Howling success.
Howling, yes, success. With over 60 two-legged folks and 24, yes, and 20 four-legged dogs that were there. It was great, and we did change the location to the community park, which I think was better suited. People just prefer that comfort of not having the dogs off leash.
Better suited.
They keep coming. They keep coming.
Wow.
So it was great. Thank you to those that were there. We have a winner that was also selected by the Youth Advisory Committee. So that was great. So thank you.
And again.
Amazing.
2 years.
If you're looking for those photos, check out our Facebook page. And I think we'll also be including them on our website as well. So lots of great photos. I think it was the Pup Cup edition people loved that, a little treat for their pup. We also had a middle school dance recently that had 90 middle schoolers at Mission Blue. So they had a photo booth and were able to dance. Actually, it was reported that it was the most danced dance because sometimes they have other activities. They don't like to dance, but they were out there dancing and having fun, which is great. As was mentioned, a senior trip to Filoli coming up on the 28th. We do have registration for Thanksgiving break and winter break camp already open, and spaces are filling up for that. Registration for boys and girls middle school basketball is now open. Next week, we have a lifeguard training course and limited spots available for that. And that is welcome to all ages, I think teens and up. So great opportunity to learn those skills. And it's not necessary that you don't necessarily have to be a lifeguard staff. It could just be for shaping up your skills in lifeguarding. Mob Play Gym this week and the 2nd of December and the 16th of December. So those are winding down. And then we have our final parents' night out on December 9th. And then our upcoming events, we do have on the 15th a teen drop-in at the Sunrise Room. And they're going to be having a Just Dance competition. So it's like where they can dance with what's on the screen. Their Mario Kart event had, I think, over 20 teens that were there, and that's over at the Sunrise Room. So it's a great additional space just for them to hang out, enjoy some pizza, socialize. As was mentioned, the Festival of Lights is coming up, the BDW Craft Fair on the 9th of December. We have a first offering of a polar bear plunge over at the community pool. That's going to be on December 14th from 5 to 7 p.m. And so a number of different activities that'll occur.
Does sound cold.
And then we have the Artist Evening of Sharing, which will be on February 3rd. Yeah.
Okay, great update. Never a dull moment here in Brisbane. Okay, that was the staff report. Moving on to commission matters. I'm going to acknowledge the written communication that was sent in by Dana Dilworth that was received on November 1st and distributed to the commissioners. That's the only written communication that I recall. There's a second one?
One more.
There's one more.
Jovi's going to read it into the
Okay.
record.
There is one more, so we can acknowledge that we also received the correspondence from Linda Seekins.
Thank you. If we don't have any other written communications, I think we can move to adjournment. Okay, we're going to adjourn this meeting at 8:11 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.